Gcci is within the Gambia. And foremost, it's important we talk about the context of the Gambia within the OIC. The Gambia actually is at the edge, it's an outlier within the OIC. First, it is a geographic outlier. We are at the most westerly point of the continuous Muslim majority countries, and that has a lot of significance because the symbolic center and the geographic center of the OIC is Mecca, and then we are at the furthest end. So what happens to the Ummah is what happens at its extreme geographically. So Gambia is very significant for that. Gambia also is an outlier when it comes to affluence indicators. We are one of the poorest countries within the OIC region. If you were to compare our per capita income to that of the highest country, you will see that the average Qatari would earn 100 times what the average Gambian would earn in a year. It has a lot of everything, every data point has a lot of significance, both as an opportunity, sometimes also as a constraint to be handled. But if you look at the significance of that, living in a Muslim Ummah, we are bound by one faith called Islam, is that if a Qatari was to take 2% of their zakat and we give it to the Gambia, that will double the affluence of the Gambia by 3. It will automatically increase our GDP by a factor of 3, and that is significant. And we think that there should be more collaboration in capital formation. Countries that are at the bottom of the economic pyramid, like the Gambia, we want to do investment projects. We want to invest in agriculture, but the amount of money we have, even at the state level, but also at the individual level, is not enough, because capital is the excess of what you consume. So if we are consuming more than we earn, we don't have capital. So I think one of the important opportunities that we see is how do we get Islamic financing, Islamic capital into the Gambia. It is significant because one of the biggest constraints to the biggest community in the Gambia is the high cost of capital in terms of interest rates, etc. And we think that Islamic financing, by its very nature, is equity financing. The investor or the person that gives you the capital benefits from the profits that are generated. And more, that is that type of private equity that we require. But then we are not low in everything. There are certain areas that the Gambia is quite high, even as an outlier. We are quite high when it comes to the cohabitation between the different regions. Unfortunately, for the region that we lived in, there are lots of other groups, or even within the same Islamic Ummah, there are lots of other ways and tariqas that are fighting between them. But Gambia is known for religious tolerance, as per the teachings of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are known for religious tolerance, and that is an example that we can pass on to the rest of the Muslim Ummah. Another area that we think that we are high is the area of being part of the greater Africa continental free trade. Most of the rich portion of the OIC, they are outside this region, and being able to locate in a place like the Gambia would not only help increase the quality of life and the standard of living, it will also allow the benefactor to be able to make enough returns, because you are in a market that is almost 1.4 billion people. I think broadly that's where I see the opportunities. But apart of the opportunities, there are also other areas of collaboration. One of the first areas I think of is the people that are the big boys within this Ummah in the OIC. They have a lot of expertise after years of earning their income from the extractive industries. First, the petroleum extractive industry. We have seen that where Saudi, Qataris, they started was quite low in terms of value added, but more and more, not only in Arabia, but in Malaysia and Indonesia, we have seen that they have developed expertise in the areas of extractive industry, especially the petroleum extractive industry that is emerging both in Senegal, Gambia, and Africa. Mainly, it has always been a cause, but we think that there is one expertise that the Ummah OIC should take up in addition to the extractive industry transparency index to have some type of a common standard across the Ummah for the extractive. The other area is in the area of climate change. I always say that in the abundance of water, the food is tasty. We live in the abundance of sunshine. I've been in Qatar before, and Qatar is doing very well when it comes to utilizing the sun that we have in abundance, utilizing that sun to be able to have electricity for their entire people, even though they have these petroleum hydrocarbons to supply. It's not clean and it's very expensive. So we're coming from an area of being the most expensive electricity tariff in the world, whereby we hope that with the OIC we should be able to have advice and collaboration in the climate what's it called, climate enhancing industry, especially solar. And this is also true for other extractives that we have, like ilmenite. Gambia used to be quite active in ilmenite, and I suspect we have zircon and other mineral resources. So these are the three areas that are important whereby we can collaborate. But I'm thinking aloud that another area is in food production. If you look at the cashew that the Gambia export and the Gambia can produce, if you look at peanuts and other important nuts, Arabia and other Asian countries are buying it from the Gambia via India. And these are areas that we can deal within ourselves as a region, because the OIC we have observed, for example, in the last 3-4 years, they have increased their intra-OIC trade by almost 30%. And this is one area where we can trade more. Another area would be in animal husbandry, halal poultry, and halal meat production. These are areas whereby they can come and invest, whereby the productive centers can be in the Gambia, but the consumption can be in Arabia, where they're already buying it from other areas of the world. And what makes this thing also interesting is that we live in a geographic continuum. If Arabia wants to buy from America, it has to cross the Atlantic Ocean. But Africa, a part of the Red Sea, which is quite short, is basically integrated with the where the consumption centers are located in the rest of the OIC, that is in Arabia and the Far East. Even before the OIC, the private sector or private individuals have invested a lot in apartments, in both apartment buildings. And the reason we are having this OIC possible today, considering that the earmarked hotel was not built, the reason we can hold this thing is that a lot of private sector people have invested. And that is normal, because the business of business is that of the private sector, not the government. There are certain infrastructure only the government can do, and we are very happy that the Bating Harding Highway is being done, which is a cost, a great cost to the government. But in the end, indirectly too, the private sector is going to pay for that through the taxation. And we are paying for it because the people of the Gambia are paying for it through us. And I think the government should intensify that. We've seen the opening of the solar plant, which might have impact on the tariffs of electricity. So the private sector is only good in environments where the government allows us, because the government is responsible for the socio-economic, it's responsible for the social environment, it's responsible for the security environment. And thank God the Gambia has been doing very well. I have started with that yes, we might be poor materially, but then we are very rich in terms of our tolerant culture. And another area that the government can encourage and even give incentives would be in halal tourism, because the type of tourism we've been doing since the 60s is very good. But then we should try to attract another type of tourists that the negative impacts would be less, because this type of tourism we've been having also, the tourists are coming, but with them they are also coming with a lot of vices. We don't say it's bad, but Gambia can now also, hoping when they come and see this beautiful land that the Europeans first came to, they would be interested to be coming back as tourists, and hoping that the government would create that conducive environment to build the tourism infrastructure. For a country like the Gambia, we are very vulnerable to environmental changes, because we are a river bank, whether we like it or not. We are almost only 10 miles on both sides of the river. And then, luckily for us, we haven't started destroying our environment for industrial purposes. And in this day and age, it's a delayed development, but now it's an opportunity that going forward, we have to, as a country, even without the OIC, as a country, we have to be really mindful of the type of industry. Even if they bring short-term return, we have to be very careful of the type. We have seen before that the coast in Banjul was eroded completely. We were helped by the EU to restore that coast. So we have to be careful that we don't take it because of our developmental need. So we have to keep balancing these developmental needs. There are quick gains that can be gained from creating fish mills, but these are not very productive. They are destroying our local environment, but they are also destroying our livelihoods. I would rather that we delay the amount of money we make from this type of extractive, especially extractive that affect the coast, or this type of fishing that would deplete the sea of fish that people do not eat, that are only extracted for industrial oils and for fish meal. We have to be very mindful that they might bring short-term return, but in the end, talking about sustainability, these resources are finite. They are not infinite resources. If you take them out, they might not come back again. Yeah, Gcci is a member organization, and wherever I am, I tell people that we are older than the Republic. The Republic of the Gambia came into being in 1970. The Gcci, 71, Gcci was already here. We are older than even the Dalasi. So it's a very old organization. It's a membership organization. We are grateful that our members keep the confidence in our organization, because we represent them. But by representing the big organization, we are also representative of the bigger private sector. Our major challenge when I came in was governance. We haven't updated our governance mechanism from the old days, and the membership has expanded. The membership has become less elite. In the beginning, the Gcci was a very elitist organization that contained some of the bigger Lebanese houses, some of the bigger colonial structures. We have come and massified this thing. Now is a very broad base of all the people in business, the people that speak or cannot even speak English, and it must represent all of them. The other thing we did was to give power back to the members in the way they elect the executive, in the way also that we separate the secretariat, which is an executive arm, to the governance structure. Before, the secretariat was expected to change every 2 years. If that thing happens, you don't have an organization that is focused on long term. The executive now is permanent. We are also very proud that we appointed the first woman CEO, and she's doing very well. And I'm afraid that very soon men will not be able to find work, because women are used to multitasking, and we have noticed, because they are very fraternal, that we are getting a lot of women at senior management position and even the organization. This is the reverse. We have to start fighting for men to have position. But more importantly is that the GCCI has become an implementing arm for private sector projects, because we are a very transparent organization. We do our due diligence. We are very diligent in terms of probity, in terms of our auditing processes, and more our partners have a lot of confidence in the projects we deliver, whether it's the EU, World Bank, UNDP. Another thing that we've brought in that is different is the partnership with the community. We understand, like the politicians, that they drew their license to operate from the community. We also do. If the community is more affluent, business becomes more affluent, and you can see the role we have played during the COVID. We raised funds by ambulances, because the community well-being is the most important thing, because we all are part of the community, but even as a subsector of the community, all the values we create, all the incomes we generate from the same people. And talking about the community, I always talk about the small and medium-sized businesses, that we should treat them differently, even from a tax point of view, because these are part of the community. They are the ones that deliver credit to the community. They're the ones that are dealing with the community on a day-to-day basis. We need them. We need them as part of the ecosystem to deliver the goods and services, and even credit where the banks are not giving it. They give people credit for a month. So they are part of both the business and banking sector. But also, these are the people that if we allow them to grow, they become big taxpayers, and they also become members of the GCCI. For this reason, the GCCI has been involved with them. We have been trying to affiliate their own chambers and their own communities to become, well, as a private sector, we need to have a single representative at the apex. But then we should allow every organization, whether it's women chamber, every organization, youth chamber, regional chambers, they should all be allowed to flourish, because they take care of the specific needs of their target groups, whether it's geographic, whether it's demographics, so we need them to survive. And even today when I came in, I was telling Sarata that one of the promises I made was the proliferation of chambers, especially regional chambers. And since I'm at the age of my term, I think we should do something to make sure that we are present all the way in Basse and Fatoto.